Communication in any business is important. In an ever-changing work environment, organizations have to keep up with the times when it comes to the advancements in this area. At the forefront of communications industry currently in unified communications, the solution is to integrate all communications. Now, joining us from our Cape Town studios to discuss this further, I have Scott Corry, Business Unit Manager for Jabra at Kathea Communications. Now, welcome to you, Scott.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Now, before we kickstart the interview, could you kindly give us a brief background on what exactly is unified communications?
Well, I can answer you by saying that what we find in the industry is that there's a lot of noise around the question unified communications and what does it mean to not just to business owners, IT directors, but also to the employees who are engaging in this new technology in our enterprise environment. To answer your question, I think that simplistically what we found historically is that your telephony vendors were very good at integrating telephone and realized that users needed to have not just voicemail and email integrated into one central location, but various other communication devices that they used in their environment. Today, we're noticing that the hugest increase here is not just integrating voicemail, email, and telephony, but also bringing in social media applications so that employees can not just talk internally, but externally to both friends and clients.
So now, from the sound of things, it seems like this UC is the new lease on business communications, particularly with cross-border operations.
Absolutely. What we're finding in a lot of large South African enterprises is that in terms of the cross-border communications, they're starting to take on technologies such as IM, instant messaging, voice over IP, so allowing us to use our internet providers for those telephone calls, as well as video communications, or what a lot of people in the industry would call telepresence.
And you did shed a bit of light on the current trends you are seeing in the UC market. Maybe you could give us a bit more on that and how managing the integration for maximum sufficiency is being done there.
So what we're finding in terms of a trend is that a lot of the new workers that are coming into the enterprise environment, and we'll call those the Y generation, they're users that are very used to using not just email, but our social media applications that are available. And with reference to that, we can only look at things like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. They're joining enterprises today and saying, for me to come and join your workforce, I would very much like to be able to use that medium for my day-to-day communications. So your IT director also needs to look forward and understand how he can bring those applications into the enterprise environment and allow everyone to integrate into that.
Now, looking at new applications coming into the business, what are the cost implications for the system?
Traditionally, cost implications have been very high to integrate a unified communication solution. What we are finding now at the moment is the hugest return on investment is going to be found through the mobility platform, where enterprises are finding that unified communications is offering a great opportunity for them to have remote and mobile workers within the enterprise environment who don't necessarily need to firstly take up a desktop space and secondly commute in from home to the office on a daily basis.
So now, how does one go about measuring the investments of unified communications and its rate of investment?
I think that it's a tough question, and as I referred to earlier, there's a lot of noise around unified communications as a solution platform. Historically, a lot of the vendors have come in and attempted to attach their own form of a voice, video, social media into a unified communications platform. What we're finding now is that traditionally there's a centralized, and I'll call that piece of glue, the core infrastructure, where all of the separate applications, whether those be from various vendors, will integrate into that. That allows the IT director to balance off costs and find lower end solutions to tie the bits and pieces together. In terms of the return on investment, to justify that for internal users or your day-to-day office-bound admin users has become traditionally very difficult. But to justify it for a mobile worker becomes a very simplistic conversation. The first thing is you save on investment, what we would term as bricks and mortar. The second is that a lot of these people who you can allow to be mobile workers are traditionally commuters. Businesses typically give them a car allowance and a petrol allowance to travel. And I think the biggest thing that we're finding is with the toll roads and the toll road costs starting to come into play, that businesses are noticing that return on investment will be very quickly written off.
And if we look at Africa as a continent, why has the uptake been in recent years been so slow?
I think, to be fair, the only answer is that broadband and the availability of high levels of broadband has been very slowed on our continent. I think over the last 2 years, with the CCOM cable arriving, we have noticed a huge uptake in terms of bandwidth and voice over IP connectivity, to the extent that a lot of international companies are looking to South Africa as an outsourced destination for their business processing outsource.
So now it appears that, redefining your presence in the business environment to ensure your business is at the forefront of the communication solutions is the way to go at this stage.
Absolutely, without a doubt.